About a month ago, I came across this video essay by Elliot Sang titled Nowhere to Go: The Loss of the Third Places, and it really got me thinking. What does it mean when we lose these public, in person gathering places? At the time of watching Elliot's video, I was not aware of this concept of a third place. And for those of you who are also new to this term, third place is a term coined by Ray Oldenburg, an urban sociologist, to categorize societal surroundings that are separate from the home and work environment. The first place is your home, second place is typically the workplace, although it could also be school or college. Examples of third places can vary depending on location and culture, but they can include religious establishments, coffee or tea houses, the mall, parks, bars, public libraries, community centers, and so on. Ray Oldenburg discusses the importance of third places in his book, The Great Good Place, published in 1989. Why are third places so important? Dr. Oldenburg certainly goes into great detail in his novel, but kind of a quick, super short Cliff Notes version is third places help foster one sense of place within the larger community, being integral to democracy, civil engagement, allowing a place to kind of publicly relax, while at the same time getting the opportunity to connect with both familiar individuals and still meet new acquaintances. As a little bit of a disclaimer, I am no way an expert on any information. I just came across the term about a month ago, so please take anything I say with a grain of salt and do your own research. If you have additional info or thoughts, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I would love to read them. I just really wanted to chit-chat about these losses of third places in a non-third place environment and share my tiny human being thoughts into the universe. No one is surprised when we mention that the COVID-19 pandemic definitely impacted those third places. Not only were many third places no longer available, but the second place, the home or school, was also lost in the process for many Americans. Now, I am a huge fan of remote work, so please do not interpret this as an argument to return to office at all. It's not. Instead, I just wanted to highlight for many Americans, their home has really become their only place. Even for those who were essential workers and still required to go into their second places, many of them very important, they were forced to kind of limit a lot of the social engagement that happened in the workplace. Now, all those measures were very important when it comes to social distancing and masks and everything like that, but you really lost a lot of societal interactions because of it. And I did want to mention that Dr. Oldenburg's book was published in 1989, so a lot of his observations with third places are way before even the internet. So these loss of third spaces has kind of been observed culturally for a while. And kind of keeping all that in mind, I also wondered how the internet is related to this loss of third places. Cause and effect is really hard to determine, and I have done no research on this, so this is more of a personal exploration and kind of processing this information and kind of see how it applies to my own observations. Because I also wanted to link this to the term being chronically online. I've noticed more and more people kind of describe themselves as being chronically online over the years. And according to Urban Dictionary, just to get what that means, chronically online is somebody who is basically always on the internet, and their entire existence revolves around being on the internet. People who are chronically online typically have no friends IRL and stay online starting useless debates that literally achieve nothing outside of a screen. I kind of want to push back on that last point. When people just self-describe themselves as chronically online, they seem to typically mean they spend a large amount of time online, have meaningful connections with other individuals that they were able to meet solely because of the internet, and their online identity may be a large part of their overall identity, especially for content creators and influencers and those who are part of various online communities. But, who am I to start a debate on what is useless outside the screen? When someone spends a majority of their time online, there is a reason for this. For many individuals, their third place has become a virtual one. The online community they are a part of is where a lot of connection can take place, and in a lot of ways, this can be very positive. With the internet, we can keep in contact with friends thousands of miles away. We can connect with others who are not even in our same country. And we can also find others that share our interests and hobbies when we may not know anybody in person who also has that same hobby. It also gives opportunity to connect with others who may also share similar lived experiences. Without the internet, it can be incredibly lonely for many individuals who have to hold their own unique lived experiences to themselves and not have anyone to chat with who even has a remote frame of reference to be able to relate to. And on the flip side, it can also give the opportunity to connect with individuals who are very different from you and learn from new perspectives and learn new information. For people with chronic health conditions and disabilities, accessing third places in person can also be incredibly difficult, if not impossible. This, to be clear, is a failing of society to ensure everybody is included. Accessibility should be a given in all spaces and all places. A virtual third place is often incredibly important for information exchange, connection, understanding, and coping with difficulties they may face. It's always kind of incredibly frustrating to hear when media criticizes individuals for being chronically online without taking any time to address why someone may choose to go online rather than do activities in person. Capitalism, hostile architecture, no or lack of public transit, suburban sprawl, unwalkable areas, lack of disposable income, poor urban planning, lack of accessible areas, and I'm sure other factors I haven't even thought of can all contribute to why an individual may not have easy access to a physical third place. In addition, some of the rhetoric about what female presenting individuals need to do to be safe in public can be exhausting, and victim blaming is definitely getting out of hand, which makes navigating public spaces even harder, especially for those who may identify as part of the queer trans community. When interacting online, many people don't have to consider, what time the sun sets, what they should wear, when they should be home, what way they should walk home, etc. In conjunction, this is kind of an American problem, but I kind of wanted to note it here because I feel like it's related, is the impact of mass shootings on the loss of in-person connection. In a 2019 American Psychological Association survey, they found that about one-third of US adults say the fear of mass shootings do stop them from going to places or events. And even for those of us who are not survivors or bystanders, the constant news about these mass shootings do negatively impact mental health as well. It's incredibly difficult to access third places when you don't feel safe in them. Basically, this is sort of a defense for those virtual third places. For many people, these virtual third places are one of the most accessible ways to connect with others, and one of the safest. You can absolutely maintain these virtual spaces and connections. However, I do think we need to ensure that these physical third places also are still maintained. You can't really completely go online. In person connection is important as well. Some of the ideas I had are definitely more American centered, as that's where I live. I kind of wonder what you guys think about creating more access to these third places in person. Now, my first suggestion is actually to get a library card because one, public libraries are free and getting a library card is also free. Depending on where your library association is, they might have even waived late fees, but public libraries are a great free third place in many communities. They often have community events, they provide free Wi Fi and meeting rooms, they have books, obviously, but they also have CDs and video games and streaming services and a bunch of other things you can access. Some even have board games and a few other things like that. One surprising is you can use Canopy to stream movies, which I think is fantastic. And a lot of the times you can't even get just an electronic library card online. And the reason why I think it's important to get a library card, even if the library isn't the best use of your third place or doesn't fit for whatever reason, a lot of public libraries get funding different ways, and showing that they have a large access of the community, getting library cards is really important to funding. So one of the ways you can ensure the local library stays open is by having that library card. And my second idea is kind of the one that has the biggest potential to have impact, but is also the hardest, is to vote and contact your community leaders. This will really vary depending on your area, so it's kind of hard to give concrete ideas for. But there's a lot of different ways you can ask for it. You can ask for more accessible public spacing, removing hostile architecture, asking for improvements in parks and other community spaces. You can do something as simple as noting cracked sidewalks that need repair to make them more accessible for individuals with wheelchairs, showing a damaged basketball hoop, whatever it might be, so that others are aware of it and they can possibly get fixed. A lot of the times when interacting with humans in public, I say as if I'm not a human myself, it can be really hard to open dialogue. Complimenting strangers is a really nice way to open up conversation, but for there to be physical third spaces, we must interact and connect with strangers. One of the easiest ways to open conversations with others through small compliments. It gives a start to the conversation off in a positive way and is kind of a starting point to go off of. And there are so many things you can compliment on. Does their outfit look nice? Do they have fun earrings or jewelry? Are they reading a book you enjoy or have been interested in? Are their shoes super cool? Any one of these can be a quick opening to say, "Hi, I love your shoes," or "I love your overalls," or "Oh, I really liked that book. What do you think of it so far?" Oftentimes, these conversations can end with a thank you and you'll kind of both go your separate ways, but it is a really nice way to start developing these in person connections with strangers. Researching third places, like what are the third places in your community and how do you get to them? How far are they from you? Do you have an affordable coffee shop nearby? Do you have a library? Are there gyms, bookstores? Do you have a community centers? What about farmers market? Do you have a local craft shop? Do you have comic book stores? Is there a financial entry to barrier? For example, a gym membership or what the cost of a cup of coffee is at that coffee shop? Does the library or does the bookshop have a book club you can join? Craft shops can sometimes have crafting circles or crafting lessons you can join. There may or may not be a cost to this. Are there cooking classes or other in person classes you can look into joining? Sometimes community centers do have this or local community colleges. And I do kind of really want to highlight public libraries again as they are free and do host many other community activities as well. They might have speakers come in or a few other things. And finding these third places in person will take some time and energy. There's no question about that. And I really want to emphasize that. But I do think it's important to kind of take some trial and error if that is available to you and see what happens. I would love to kind of see what your strategy is below. And then the other thing is when you're trying to access your third place, there is most probably a variety of reasons why a physical one might not be good for you. Is there bad weather outside? Do you not have time? Is it too late at night? Etc. When you're connecting with your virtual third places, why not romanticize that a little bit? If you can't go to a coffee shop, why don't you make your own little fancy coffee drink and make it or tea in a beautiful mug? Do you have a favorite top you haven't worn in a while? Maybe wear that the next time you chat with friends on Discord. And this definitely isn't an everyday type of thing, but this might add a little fun ritual to your Saturday mornings or Friday nights. And there are a lot of ways to make connecting with these virtual spaces more concrete, and I would love to hear the ways you do so. And most importantly, I do want you to know that it's okay for your third place to be online. There are many, many reasons why physical third places is not accessible option for many individuals. For a lot of us, it's just way easier to foster and develop a robust virtual third place, and it's okay that we do that. So, thank you so much for listening to me chit chat about this, about being chronically online and how that relates to kind of the loss of third spaces. I'm sending you all guys warmth and delights, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.